Well, greetings everyone. Hi, this is Vicki Evans. I am the instructor for your RedCape Office Hours. This is where we spend the next 60 minutes kind of troubleshooting real life scenarios, things that um, things that we work on every single day using the skills that we learn during the Academy classes. So we have a lot of our Academy members on the call as well as quite a few guests. This is our biggest office hours yet. So I'm really excited about seeing all of you guys here today. And just to kind of give you guys an idea of like how office hours is run, it's an informal session. It's not like a formal class I would teach. We typically teach 90-minute classes where I have it structured. I know exactly what I'm teaching. Um, it's not that I don't know what I'm teaching today, but it's a little bit more informal. I choose topics based on what the Academy members are having trouble with or things you guys submit to me. We get a lot of questions from to our support at redcapeco.com email address about real world problems, and you guys have, those of you that are going through the Academy, you guys already have the skills to troubleshoot and solve the problem. So this one came through, the one that I'm focusing on today came through, and I've got some other ones that I want to show you. And in the Academy, there is a section for our office hours replays. So for those of you just log into the Academy, and on the left-hand side, you'll see the replays area. So if you want to tweet, we'll post again the click to tweet link in the chat window, and those of you watching the replay, you can still go ahead and use that link to chat to us and let us know that you're watching the replay. So if you have questions during the live session, you just use the Q&A panel of GoToWebinar. If you're watching the replay, use the hashtag RCA, meaning RedCape Academy, so RCA Office Hours, and then we'll monitor those and be sure to get back to you. Always love the questions. Okay, so I am going to talk about our problem, and let me go ahead and show you the issue that we have, the slide that came across my desk. So I'm going to go ahead and reset all of this. Let me see. Actually, let me close it because I've been working on it this morning. Don't save it. I know you guys just saw the pre-work winners, so I don't want to show that yet. Open and real life scenario. Okay, so this is something that happened in real life, and I recreated a little bit of it, but the situation is that we had an Academy member, our Academy members are using SmartArt, which is great. I talk about SmartArt during my tips and tricks sessions. And the problem is you can see that it's a little bit off. All these little boxes are off, and so we need to fix it. So the first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the most popular response, because I sent the slide out to our Academy members. I posted a video on YouTube, and then we got quite a few, about 20 responses from you guys. And I'm going to walk through the most popular response because there was one popular response that came through, and then I'm going to walk through my process of how I would resolve this. But first, let me go ahead and duplicate the slide. So one trick is I'm going to keep this slide as is, so in case I need to replicate it again, I can show it to you. So I'm going to use Control D, which is duplicate. So I highlight the slide on the left and use Control D to duplicate. So I'm going to duplicate it once. This is where I'm going to show you how you resolve the issue, and then I'm going to do Control D again because I'm going to show you how I would resolve it. So I have some shortcuts for you. So, let's first talk about the most popular response that we received. So there were three things. Number one, most of you looked at this and said, well, obviously we need to reset the graphic. So you noticed that it was SmartArt Tools. You went to the Design tab and you hit Reset Graphic, which then enabled you to reset the graphic. Okay, well, this one did not work. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I wonder if it's because I'm on GoToWebinar that it didn't work. Let me try that again. Okay, so design and reset graphic. Fingers crossed. And it didn't work for me. Okay, I think GoToWebinar, because we're broadcasting the screen, there's something happening. So, but in real life, I know it worked because you guys, I tried it before class. I tried all of your responses and it did reset it, okay? It reset it, and then what your suggestion was to resize this. And some of you probably zoomed out and resize this quite a bit and then move this here. And we probably can do a resize graphic in a second. And then maybe reset graphic again. Okay, so for some reason mine is not working, and you're probably going, yeah, see, that's what happens to me when I'm at my desk. So, okay, I feel your pain. Hopefully I can show you a shortcut. But so a lot of you said reset graphic, and then what you did was resize the graphic. And then some of you even found that there was an extra blank line. So you opened this here and you scroll down and you found this extra bullet here. So you hit the backspace, or at least deleted that, and you're just looking at the text to make sure everything was okay. So in this case, now if this was the only way I could solve this, what I would do is, since I'm having so much trouble with it, I'd probably convert it to text. So I'm going to come over here under SmartArt Graphics and convert it to text. Now you can see the SmartArt tab goes away. Let me redo that again. So when I click on the SmartArt, you see the SmartArt tools. I go to design, and instead of saying reset graphic, because I'm obviously having trouble with it, I'm going to say convert to text. So let me just get it converted back to raw text, and I'm going to do Control A to highlight this, right click, convert to SmartArt, and then I'll convert it to the SmartArt, and let's see if that works. Okay, perfect. So that's an alternative method. If the reset graphic isn't working for you, you can go ahead and kind of start over. I still really don't like this because it doesn't make sense that it's maximized to the slide width. I'm probably going to have to resize it quite a bit. So I can resize it that way by pulling the corner. Another trick is when you hold down, if you use the corner, hold down Control, and when you use Control and a corner, it resizes from the middle of the graphic. So that's a tip for you, and to save you one extra or two extra steps, is to just hold down Control when you drag that corner, any one of the corners, and that way it keeps it centered in the slide or in that position, but resizes it. Okay, so that's one trick. But none of you noticed, and that's totally okay, none of you noticed that the colors are wrong. And it's probably because you're not familiar with this particular template. But if I know that this blue doesn't match the theme or the brand of this template. And so when I go to if I go to Design tab here and I say Change Colors, this is what depresses me the most, is that this template that a lot of money was invested and spent on designing this template. This template is actually set up using the default Office colors. And this makes me upset, and I'm starting to get emotional about it, because this is what causes us to stay late at the office. Because as an end user, if this is something I had to work on and turn in, and I had a deadline to meet, I would be stuck here probably at the office quite a bit longer, because I can't even get it to my company's color set. So that's one thing I want you all to think about a little bit higher level, and is to be almost obsessive in your requirement that the colors for your brand be set up correctly so that you can use them throughout the template. So now I'm gonna show you how I would solve this, and this will explain it a little bit more in detail. Let me go ahead and go to the questions and see what you guys are talking about here. Let's see. Okay. Kathy, yours says yours did not reset it correctly. Okay, so then what you would do is convert it to text and then start over and make it SmartArt. Okay, cool. Oh, Rachel, cool, thanks. I'm glad you like the tips. Awesome. Okay, now let me go to another version of the slide. So this is another copy of the problematic slide, and I'm going to show you how my thought process in fixing this. And so the first thing I do is I want to confirm that it is SmartArt. And especially for those of you who are new or beginning at this, or this is a kind of a you're new at PowerPoint or you don't use it quite often, and is what you're going to do is you're going to simply click on the object itself, and you'll notice the contextual tab. So that confirms to me that we do have SmartArt. So I'm happy about that. So then my next thought is, before I fix this, I noticed that this text box or this box is so big, and I don't know why. I don't know why this is big. So that's when I would probably, resize it at this point. I would hit the reset graphic, but I just don't know why this is big. And what I ended up doing was trying to recreate it. And I think what happened was it's because of the layout. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If anything is big like this, or if it's moved, if it's not in the right position, the first thing I do is I go to the reset button here for the slide itself, because if I'm using the right layout, and this should resize appropriately based on the layout's definition. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the reset button here, and I would expect it to reset to the slide size, and it doesn't. So again, now my heart is like beating fast. I'm like now getting upset a little bit because I'm not, we're not using the right layout. So when I go over to layout, you can, and I'm kind of half joking about the physical reaction I have when I work with slides, because I get frustrated when slides aren't set up correctly and it's causing you as end users to stay late at the office. So and I forgot, I was going to do a poll to find out how many of you are in charge of building your templates and how many of you are in charge of just using a template, but now I don't want to call you guys out. So I am, so again, I'd look to see if it's SmartArt. It's SmartArt. My second thing is I'm worried about how big the placeholder is, and I hit reset and it doesn't work. So I go to my layout tab, my layout button at the top, and this is why. This is the culprit. This is the number one reason why we're having a problem with this slide, is that we're not using the right slide layout. And as end users, this is for you, all of you that are end users that are not in charge of the template. It is so important for all of you to be using the right layout so it behaves the way it should behave, and it's going to give you time-saving benefits, and as well as formatting benefits. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm I this is what I want. I want to use this one. But I noticed that in this template, and by the way, this template, this is my business partner, Bonnie Low-Kramen. She wrote the book called Be the Ultimate Assistant, and she and I teach a 2-day workshop. So she got a whole new branded template, slide template, and a presentation template, and now this is what we're using. So I just want to kind of show you some of the options here that she has. So I would suggest not using this one. The goal is to use this one, but what's the problem with this one? What's the difference between this one and this one? You guys enter your question and your answer in the question panel. What's the difference between, I mean, obviously I have the placeholder here. The graphic colors, right, Diane? The background is not solid. Exactly. So that's what Bonnie wanted. So she really wanted just the plain background. So this was not an option for her. This was the only option for her here. So I know some of you, I think Diane, it was you were the only one who said, you know what, I need this layout. So Diane, you're the only one who identified that we actually need to use the right layout. So this is an option here. So if Bonnie wanted to include just the plain background, this is what I would recommend, because but ideally we want this one, and I'll show you why. I'll show you the difference between this one and this one as far as the placeholder here. So let me go ahead and choose custom layout. Oops, you know what? I'm on the wrong one. So let me duplicate this again. I don't want to mess up our original one. So I'm going to come over here and use this last side here. See how informal this is? It's almost like I don't know what I'm doing. But I do. It's just more casual than class. I just need to get this to fit. See if it'll fit in the corner. Perfect. Okay, so I've got a new slide layout. So here's what I would do. Make sure it's SmartArt. I see it's SmartArt. I see that the layout, the actual placeholder is too big. I hit reset. That doesn't help. So then I go to my layout and I'm going to change it to custom layout here. So that's what I do, custom layout. Now it looks like it doesn't do anything. Let me go ahead and hit fit here. See, it'll fit. See, this is the problem. This long text box is causing me to take extra time to move it in the right direction. Now it jumps up to this slide. Okay, now here's what I've got. You can see how much work this is taking us. So here is the placeholder. This is the ideal situation. I want a placeholder. This is actually in a text box. If you can, absolutely, if you can in every situation, try not to use text boxes because text boxes aren't really connected to the theme of the PowerPoint template. So, and it's going to result in more manual work for you if you use a text box. So if you can, try to use placeholders which are attached to the layout itself. So this is what I would do. This is a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and convert it back to text. I go to design, convert to text, and I just want the raw text, please. Don't give me anything else. So I'm going to copy that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and cut it and then paste it in the placeholder. And let me see, I don't have an extra thing in there. Perfect. So then, now I know you can't see this, but I see a blank line here and I see a blank line there. So I'm going to take that out. And then what I'll do is I'll do Control A, right click. Well, a couple of options you could do. You can in this placeholder, I could use 2 columns. So I could do 2 columns like that, but that looks like crap. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to highlight this instead. Actually, let me move it down to 1 column. I'll right click that instead. Select, right click, convert to SmartArt, and then change it to SmartArt. Whew. Do you see what I mean about the position of the slide itself, like the placeholder itself? That's the difference between using the right layout. You want to make sure that you are using the right layout. If I changed it to, you know, a layout like this where there's 2 parts to it, that's okay. It would simply, oh, see what happens? So this, yeah, this template's not set up correctly. It's just not set up correctly because this should actually jump into this placeholder automatically. Now it's an independent object on the slide. So I'm going to undo that. Oh, I'm having a panic attack right now. Let me look at your questions right here real quick. Oh, perfect. Kathy, thanks for letting me know that little square. See, look, I learn something new every day. So Kathy is saying instead of doing that fit to window, click that little button and it puts the slide. Yay, I love it. Thanks, Kathy. I didn't know that, Kathy. Doreen, placeholder, I'll talk about that. Okay, so I'll talk about what the difference is in placeholder. So let me do this real quick. Let me go back to, let me see what we look like here. We still have the 2 placeholders. Let me go back here. Okay, we're now on this layout. So we're on this layout. And let me go to a slide I have. Let me go into one of my slides. By the way, I'm going through a rebrand, so that's my presentation is going to, my slides are going to be redone too. Yeah, let's just do this one. So, for instance, here is a placeholder. So if I go to this slide layout, you'll see I'm using title and content. So when I go to content, it's going to give me 2 placeholders. This is what a placeholder is. So a placeholder allows allows the marketing team to create these layouts that you can use to provide structure on your slides. And not only that, by using a particular layout with the appropriate placeholders, what happens is you'll notice how I moved that one placeholder into two placeholders, and this smart art moved to the right position. It moved to this placeholder, and then I can add text here if I want. And then if I change it, if I decide I wanted to go back to layout and I want it to be title and content, or maybe comparison, I'll change it to comparison. You'll notice that everything it is set in its place. So the placeholder allows the marketing team to create structure for each one of the slides. And then for you as the end user, you have structure, you have a framework in which to place the content. And the other thing too is if for any reason, and this happens quite a bit, that you accidentally nudge that out of the way, or you're working, you nudge that out of the way, and you're so busy, look at your working, you're nudging all of this, or maybe you're just distracted. What you can do is hit the reset button, and the reset button will reset all the placeholders and the framework on the slide to its correct position. And that way, as the presenter is moving from slide to slide, each of the titles on the slides are in the same position. And it also helps with your design and construction of the PowerPoint. So let me go back to this example here. So, all right, let me double check the questions here. Oh, the button Kathy was talking about. So let's say I zoom in here and I want it to fit on the screen. The bottom right-hand corner, fit slide to current window. Just click that and it puts the slide in the current window. I didn't know that button existed. See, even someone with 15 plus certifications needs extra tips. All right, I'm looking at your questions right now. Laura, on the original panel with the very large box around it, could you have raised the lower border to match the theme's placeholder? Let me keep going and we'll see if what I'm doing answers your question. Okay, so now here's the problem with this. So I've shown you what happens when you use the right layout with the right placeholders. Remember, I'm using this particular layout here with the blank background, but I don't think it's the right placeholder because watch this. If I move this or nudge this out of the way, and I nudge this out of the way, and I hit the reset button, you'll notice that the SmartArt did not reset to the slide placeholder. So actually, the layout that was designed for this template was designed incorrectly. I believe that, and I haven't investigated this further, I believe that this is a text box on the layout, on the actual layout, instead of a placeholder. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one because it's driving me crazy that I'm not able to have this automatic and streamlined process with this SmartArt. It's taking, look, it's already taking 25 minutes to work on it. So let me go ahead and click on this layout. All right, and I'll show you how to remove the background graphics. So what I'm going to do here, and now this is all, I'm going to have to go to design. I seriously am having a physical reaction here. And so I know what you guys go through when you have this assignment and you have to convert. You have to bring in a bunch of different presenter slides into one presentation. You're having to do this manually with a lot of different slides. So let me go ahead, and I chose the right layout. So I chose layout, this layout here. I converted it to text, cut all the text out. I'm going to hit paste. For some reason, it always gives me that extra bullet at the bottom. I'm going to do Control A, right click, convert to SmartArt, and then choose this SmartArt. Okay, perfect. Now, watch this. If I move this out of the way and move this out of the way, because I'm distracted and I hit reset, it resets it to the slide. Whew. Okay, so that's what I wanted you guys to do is I wanted you to recognize that A, we're using the wrong layout. B, if we chose this layout, it would still be the wrong layout because this is not an actual placeholder. And then you would choose this layout here. Cut all of the, convert this to text, cut it all out of the SmartArt, drop it into the correct placeholder, and convert it back to SmartArt. Okay, then the next problem I have is I have all these graphics behind me because my graphic designer didn't include a layout like this with a blank background. So if that's the case for you, you simply have to go to the Design tab and go to Format Background. And then you can hide background graphics. Close the Format Background, and then there's the blank background. Okay? My wish is that you have layouts already predefined for this. You shouldn't have to go in there and remove the background graphics, okay? So question is, how can you tell if it's a placeholder versus a text box? So Adrian, my biggest hint that it's just a text box is that it doesn't pop into place. Well, first of all, let me go to the slide master and show you what placeholders look like. So, oops, hold on. I have all these shortcuts and I forgot I'm teaching you guys. So let me just go here and go to View and Slide Master. And so when I create, let's say I create a new slide. So I'm going to say Insert Layout and Insert Placeholder. So these are the different placeholders. So if I I can insert a content placeholder. I can go over here and insert a text placeholder, and no matter what, every time my team, or if I'm the designer, anytime the end user uses this layout, they'll be able to use the reset button to reset the positioning of the placeholders. I think that some designers are doing this. They're using insert and they're going to text box and they're creating a text box on here. And that's not what you want to do. That's going to cause everyone to stay late at the office. Okay, so for those of you in the Academy, I'm going to talk about what classes, if you're interested in learning more about this, what classes I've already taught. They're already in the Academy that you can go in there and master this. So let me talk about one more thing for here, because I don't want to go too deep into slide masters and layouts. Essentially what I want you to do, all of you that are using the slides, you're actually putting the slides together, I really want to make sure you're using the right layout. So this is how I can tell that these are placeholders, because you can see, in fact, let me go ahead and say New Slide, and I'm going to choose this one. I can see that it's a placeholder because it even gives me these little objects down here. So that's one thing I can tell. The other thing I can tell, the reason why the difference between placeholder and text box is when I hit, in fact, let me do this. Let me do this here. Let's say I need 2 columns, and for some reason I'm going to work harder than I need to, and I'm going to put, I said insert text box. So let's say I need a 2. So if I'm not familiar with layouts, this is what I might end up doing, is I might end up making this smaller, putting a text box on here. And you'll notice if I nudge this out of the way, if I nudge this out of the way like this and hit reset, it resets it to the full slide. My text box even went away. Okay, so I am definitely going to give you guys information about the Academy, so don't worry. I'll show you where the classes are and all the information about the Academy if you want to join. But let me finish this real quick. All right. Now, here's the last thing I want to tell you, and this is how I would. So the 3 things for me is that they weren't using the right layout, so I really needed to be using this layout. Secondly, the SmartArt needed to be reset, obviously. And I think what happened too is that because the SmartArt wasn't set up correctly, that the person went and tried to resize it manually. See, I can't even I'm having a hard time doing it wrong. They resized it manually, and so they got caught up in the time it took to resize it because it wasn't in a layout. So number one, the layout was wrong. Number two, we need to reset the SmartArt. And then number three, let me go ahead and reset it. Okay, that didn't, oh yeah, cool, that worked. And then number three, the colors are not connected. And this is where I got really angry in that when I wanted to go change the colors, because I don't want blue. Blue is not part of Bonnie's palette, color palette. Her color palette is, I don't know if you can see this, kind of the pink and teal and this purple. So I wouldn't expect to see blue here. So I wouldn't expect to see blue and this red and this green. So our only choice was to make it green to make it kind of look like the palette. So this is going to create a lot of work. If we go into, let me show you what colors have been set for this template. If I go to design, and in 2013 and 2016, there's a variance area here. You go to the drop down and you'll see colors. And sure enough, when I went over here to investigate, I have a ton of custom color palettes. So don't worry about that. When you go over here, this, I don't know if you can tell, but do you see that the Office 2007, 2010 is highlighted? So this is the default color palette. A lot of designers are leaving it on this color palette when they should be creating a color palette up here, their own color set that goes with the theme. So I know I'm going a little bit into the advanced world here, but I will give you resources on if those of you who want to pursue this and master the themes in PowerPoint Slide Masters, I'll tell you what classes. All right, let me stop there and take a drink of water and then see what questions you have here. Yeah, Eileen said that she submitted a table as an idea. Yeah, you certainly could have created a table. The thing with SmartArt is that if I had this original text, let me see if I can. So I have all this text. For a table, I would have to, let me go ahead and choose layout and to content. So let's say I created a table here. I need 4 columns and maybe, I don't know how many rows here. And that's totally fine. I would just go here and say, you know, move the text into this table itself. The benefit of using SmartArt is that if I decide I don't like that design, like it's not a good representation of the content. In fact, let me go ahead and go back here. I can change it into a different SmartArt. So if I right click on SmartArt and decide maybe I want it this way. You know, oh, that didn't work. Maybe I want it like this. So using SmartArt gives me the flexibility of changing my mind, which I tend to do quite a bit. So that might be an option. So you can kind of play around with it. Whereas with a table, it's only one format. You're stuck with the table format, or you'd have to spend time going back and changing it to SmartArt between tables. So that's why. Charlene, yes. So I know, yes, I'm going a little fast. Here's the good news. You'll get the replay to this. You'll get to go back here and view this again. I'll go through the steps again succinctly, so without any full description of what I'm doing, and then, but I want to cover other additional questions that are in the Academy, so, or that came through from members of the Academy. So I typically go quickly to keep people engaged, but also you'll have the replay to watch that back. Kathy, you're asking, okay, when you converted the SmartArt to text, then cut and paste it in the template, doesn't that leave a text box even though it's empty on that slide? Right. Kathy, typically it does, but for some reason it didn't in this case. I was looking for that rogue empty text box, and it did not include a text box. So they are definitely annoying, and I will hunt them down if I find them. But for some reason, I think because that it was a text box on a layout, that it didn't leave it on there. Um, in fact, yeah, if I have time, I'll show what people are talking about. Okay, cool. Diane, I'm using a PowerPoint 2016. Can you save it as a template? So Marva Ann, okay, what I would do, save this, here's what I would do. If I was designer for Bonnie's template, what I would actually do is save it as a theme. I would create the slides, um, the layouts, put all the logos on there. I'd make sure the right color sets were there. I'd make sure all the fonts were correct. So I'd under design again and variants. I'd make sure, Bonnie's colors. It was set to Bonnie's colors, and I'd make sure all the fonts were there. So for instance, I'm going to change it to Google Colors. And Online Mystery, I'm going to change it to Google Colors. So the thing about what happened was the colors on Bonnie's slides are set static. They're static colors, and using Office dynamic colors. So there's a disconnect between the two. And I'm going a little advanced here, but when you're creating a template, the idea would be is that you would actually deliver a theme like this. So these are the new way of submitting or creating templates is themes. So for instance, here is Contoso, a fake company called Contoso that I created a theme for, or a template. And if I click here, all of the slide layouts should change. It didn't because we have some custom layouts. Oh, here we go. You'll see that the Contoso logo is here. I've got Contoso colors and so on. So you'll also notice that this one doesn't have the logo, probably because I'm using the wrong layout. And so I would go ahead and apply the right layout, and it should bring in, I know what. It didn't bring in the Contoso logo because I have the option set here for format background. Don't worry if you're not getting this part. I'm just kind of walking through this for the advanced PowerPoint users right now. So don't worry if I'm going too fast at this part. But so to answer your question about can you create a template, that's a whole different discussion, because it's really what I want to do is I want designers and marketing teams and branding companies and advertising agencies to deliver a theme to you, not necessarily a template. So unless the template's going to have multiple themes in it. But you'll notice here I chose the FedEx template, and it's flowing through all of the FedEx slide definitions and so on. Here is the RedCape template. So my goal for all of you is to have your company's branded template or theme in right here within PowerPoint. That's my goal. So you don't have to go to the intranet to go find it. All right, I'm really going off the into the advanced territory. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm reading the questions here. All right, so let me go through some of the questions I got from you guys for the office hours. Yes, Elizabeth, there'll be a replay. Okay, so the pre-work winner. So I have not chosen a winner yet because I want to make sure that I have everyone's submission, that everyone's name on this slide who submitted an idea. So if you submitted your pre-work assignment to us and your name is not on this slide, will you email support@RedCapeCo so we can find your submission? The other thing is it's the drawing is only available for current Academy members. So we have to, I love the fact that a lot of you who are guests are submitted some pre-work assignments. So that is awesome. But I want to make sure that we have Academy members are doing their homework. And so we're going to make sure we have the right people. Adrian, I will talk about where you find information about the themes. So I'm going to go through some questions actually, before I go through questions, I know some of you are leaving because you have to leave, but you're anxious to find out which courses, you want more information. So for those of you in the Academy, if you want to spend time mastering these skills, there are 2 classes in phase 1. Phase 1 is where we raise awareness. These are the 2 classes under phase 1 in the Academy when you log into the Academy. If you go to the first session, which is the time-saving tips session, it's 90 minutes. Just jump to the PowerPoint segment, and that's where I talk about SmartArt. Okay, so I walk through the tips for SmartArt, and that's the only part you have to watch in there. And then the second one is spend some time in the Office themes session, and that will help you understand how themes work across all of Office. Then under phase 2, there's some deep dive classes, very targeted classes. There's the PowerPoint Slide Masters class. So that is going to help you understand how layouts work and how themes work within PowerPoint. So those 3 classes, for end users and for those of you who are designing presentations, I recommend those 3 classes. If you just simply go to, and Michelle, if you can post the link to the courses page, this link here in the chat, that would be awesome. So if you go to redcapeco.com/academy/courses, you'll see these 3 courses there, and the link to log in. If you're an Academy member, you can just log in there, and they're free for Academy members, or they're $197 each for non-members. And by the way, to join, it's $300 a year to join the Academy. There is an Office Themes Bootcamp, so I am now determined to train your marketing departments and the branding experts, and those of you that are freelancers or virtual assistants who work with different clients, it would benefit you, add value to your service by creating themes for each one of your customers within your applications. So the boot camp is a 6-week online boot camp where you have homework. We're going to master this. And for Academy members, it's going to be 50% off. So I'm going to be launching the information in October, so you'll get all the information about that. So I wanted you to feel, kind of feel okay that there's going to be help for you. I feel like this is like a not Alcoholics Anonymous, but PowerPoint Anonymous class or something. And then for those of you interested in seeing what's on the calendar for October, I am delivering the 90-minute courses for my popular time-saving productivity tips session for the various audiences. So those of you that are in the Academy, they're completely free for you to join. And we'll have the assistance session. So my time-saving Microsoft productivity tips for assistants will be October 11th. Lean team, so those of you in small office, home office, and nonprofits, you'd want to attend that one on the 13th. Event planners on October 18th, and then for all business users would be October 20th. So if you can only attend one, I would attend October 20th. Members, again, you attend for free, and that's a $300 a year membership. And if you're interested in broadcasting this for your team, we have group viewing options, so contact us. And I'll talk about the action plan in just a second, but let me go back to some of the questions real quick. Okay, so Amy S. asked about this. So her firm recently moved from 2010 to 2013, and so it's a new way of working a little bit. Some of the things have changed, but most of them pretty much the same. So she's asking what's the best way to resize a text box or placeholder. Hopefully you all know the answer to that, but I'll go through it real quick. How do you move text up or down vertically in a placeholder, and what are the latest shortcuts? So my biggest tip for resizing is if you have to resize this, I'm not actually a fan of resizing these text boxes because I have to find out why are you resizing it. So if you are going to resize this because you want to make room for an image, maybe you want an image right here, my suggestion would be to change the layout, to go to the Home tab, go to, oops, let me hit reset on here. Go to the Layout tab and click to Content, and then that way you can just add an image here. Just go to here to Pictures and add an image. Let's add PowerPoint. Let's add Outlook. Okay, and then if I wanted to resize this, I want it to be in the center, I would hold down Control and resize it from the corner. Same thing here. If I wanted to resize this from the center, I would hold down Control or hold down Control to resize from the center. If I only wanted to resize from that point, then I would not hold down Control. I would do that. Okay, so that's how you resize objects in PowerPoint. If you can, like I would think, when in doubt, it's layout. The layout is the solution. Okay, so what else did you ask? How do you move text up or down vertically? Okay, so if I move this here and I want to move this up or down vertically, there is an option here. It says align text, and I could say middle or I can say bottom. So that's how I do it vertically. And then what are the latest shortcuts for 2013? And what I would do is I actually searched online I just typed in PowerPoint shortcut keys or PowerPoint keyboard shortcuts. And then I found this page. So I would go through this and look through the list and see what would resonate with you. Obviously, you're not going to use all shortcuts, but my favorite ones are this one, F5. If I'm in this mode and I want to start my well, actually, yeah, I'm in edit mode here and I want to start my presentation from the beginning. I'm going to hit F5. So that way, if I'm if I'm right now getting ready for a webinar and I'm making a change to a slide and I need to start, I hit F5. And then the other trick is if I wanted to start from that slide, so if I wanted to, let's say I'm working on this slide, Amy, and I'm working on the slide, working. Let me see how this works. I would do Shift F5 if I want to see this slide, okay? So if I wanted to see this slide here, I wanted to see this slide in slideshow mode. Shift F5 will launch slideshow mode at the current slide. Okay, those are my favorite keyboard shortcuts. I think there's a couple others, but all right, let's go to question number 2 from Kathy. I wish I had your pictures here. It'd be fun to have your pictures. Next time, if you guys will let me have your picture. Okay, I've been interested in pursuing Microsoft certification, and if there's a faster way to solve the problem you gave us, would my solution have been a negative in the exam? Does Microsoft view there's only one correct way when it comes to sitting for the exam? There's always more than one way to do something, and some ways are much quicker than others. So I love this question, Kathy, because a lot of Academy members are pursuing certification, and in this case, I can't tell you what's on the exam, but a couple things I can say is that they're not going to give you in a situation like the one I gave you. What they're going to do is they'll probably say, convert this into SmartArt, or convert this bulletin list into, well, I'm just going to make it plain and simple, SmartArt. So all you have to do is convert it to SmartArt, or change the layout to content, or something like that. So if you want to see how the exams, like a simulation of the exam, I recommend G-Metrics. G as in good, M as in Mary, E-T-R-I-X as an X-ray, G-Metrics. That is a great prep software, and it allows you to put it in training mode and then test mode. So you can actually train and prep for the exams and test in a simulated environment. So you know exactly kind of how they're testing and what is marked correct and what's marked incorrect. But yeah, there are multiple ways you can do one thing, but I've found that the exams don't really test for that. It's the end result is that they want. What I do notice, and if you guys ever take a skills-based test from a recruiter or from, during a job interview, let me know what test you're taking because I've got 15 certifications and I would really love to take those exams to check the validity of the exams because I do agree with you, Kathy, that with all these shortcuts and the way I'm teaching all of you, this is the fastest and most effective way of working. And if the exams aren't teaching it or teaching it this way or testing this, or if they're counting this method wrong, I have an issue with that. So please connect with me and I will I will take the exam using the most efficient, effective way to work in these programs and to check the validity of the exams, okay? All right. You're taking some exams today, Dawn? Oh, awesome. Cool, cool, cool. Kathy, instead of Shift F5 to view the current slide, why not simply click on the screen slide icon? Yes. Yes, Kathy, I agree. So Kathy's saying so for instance here, you can just run the slideshow from here, this button here, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'm on the keyboard here making a change and then I'll do Shift F5 because my hands are already on the keyboard. The other thing is I see a lot of times when speakers are presenting and they're at their laptop, they're about to start the session, the room's abuzz. For some reason, presenters space out and they have such a hard time finding that little button. So if I can share, if the presenters just know F5 and Shift F5, then that will prevent them from having to come over here and get their hand on the mouse and use the thing and then go over here. So that's why. Okay. Julia, you're asking about the language. So your office program is set to Norwegian. How can you change it to English? It should be a Windows. I would imagine if you hit the Windows key on your keyboard, all of you can do this right now. If you hit the Windows key, hold on. You're not able to see this, but okay. Hold on. On your keyboard, you all have this little Windows key. When you hit that, it launches the start menu and you can type language, I think. Windows language. Yeah, type language. Hopefully you spell it better than I did. And region and language settings, and you should be able to set your language settings. So mine is set for United States, and that should set it for all your programs. Okay? All right. Now, we have a couple presents. Okay, so a couple of you sent me your slides to find out if the template was set up correctly. And this is, I love this, Festival Foods Gold program. So I'm going to show you how I analyze a slide presentation template to see if it's set up correctly. And I have permission from these two people who submitted their slides. So I'm going to, oops, I shouldn't do that. All right, so the first thing I do is I am in awe of how amazing this looks. Like, this looks amazing. I want them to do my slides. So I love this. And the first thing I do is go to layout, and I would expect to see all of the branding in the layouts. This is where I go into panic mode if I was an end user, because I notice that these slides are set up at the slide level and not the layout level. This is definitely going to cause everyone to stay late at the office because the layouts aren't set up correctly. So bad news for this one. Although it's beautiful, it won't work. The other thing is I would go to design and come over here to the drop down, go to colors, and go to colors, And what do y'all think about this? So do you guys think the colors are set up correctly? And you're right, they're not. I see all of you going, they're not, because you can see right here, do you see how it's set, see how it's highlighted? You can barely see that Office 2007, 2010 is selected. I see this in probably 90% of the templates I get, honestly. Maybe people aren't submitting their nice templates, I'm not sure, but this is a huge sign, a huge flag that it's not set up correctly. I would expect to see one color set above this line that has the color set flowing through the branding colors, the branded colors flowing through this presentation. So um, I want this team in my Office Themes class, or maybe we can use this as an exercise in the Office Themes class. But this is so beautiful. I seriously want mine to look like that. We just need to set it up correctly. That's the only thing. All right, next one, last one is this one. Someone asked me to look at this one. This one looks so cool. Looks so trendy and futuristic. Look how cool that is. Like I would love to drop my content in here. Look at that. So it looks really cool. Love it. Let me look at the fonts. Okay. Here is a flag. Number one, when I click in the font, I notice that it's using Arial and it's not using the theme fonts. So the global fonts haven't been, aren't going to flow down through the presentation. So having static fonts like this, and we haven't even talked about static fonts, it's similar to colors. This is going to cause problems as well. So that's one thing. But the first thing, let's go ahead and look at the layouts. Okay, this is a good sign. So we've got some layouts here. This looks good. Cool. All right, so now if I go and let's say I want to use this slide here. I want to place the image, send to back. Uh-oh. Okay, this is a bad sign that the graphics are at the slide level and not the layout level. You don't want your end users to ever be able to move things around like that. Ideally, if there's going to be a spot for an image, it should be an image placeholder where all they have to do is click the image placeholder, go grab the image, and it automatically puts it in that position. Okay? So if you get a slide like this, this is going to be really difficult to work with. But I do love the way this looks. You know what, I'm so inspired right now to ask, to have a contest in 2017 to look for the best PowerPoint templates that are going to have 100% end user adoption. Y'all remind me to do that. Okay, so those are the two additional questions here. I do want to show you some good examples. An example of a couple of slides. Let's see, I think Office 2016 sample files, PowerPoint. Actually, you know what? I think I have it in my marketing teams. Tips for marketing pros, great examples. Okay, I'm going to show you this one here. So, oh, this one here, APC. This one has one theme. This is a conference. And if I go to layout, this is what I love. I love there's only one slide in here. That's a good sign. And it has just 9 layouts. I love this. Very simple, easy to use. And yeah, I realize we have only 1 minute left. We're probably out of time. I just want to show you guys this one. This one has 4 different themes. And when I go to layout, so actually I think in this case, they don't really need to include all of these slides. It really just needs to include one slide. But when you go to layouts here, this theme or PowerPoint template, so this would be considered a template because it has 3 themes. It has the orange theme, so if the speaker wants to use the orange branded slides, or if they want to use the platinum branded slides, or they could use the silver or dark silver slides. And then there's also, oh, they've got 4, yeah, white slides. So this would be ideal that there's different versions or variations of the theme, and I'm able to use this. This is ideal. Like to me, this is the winner of the contest if we had a contest. Okay, so I know that we're at the end of the session. So let me go back to my slides. Here's what I want to do for those of you interested in the Academy. We had a promotion that ended September 15th that you save $25 off the Academy. So when I do this, I'm going to email you guys the link to that. It ended on the 15th, but if you want to join the Academy for $275 a year, you can take advantage of that today. And for those of you already in the Academy, if you want to renew your membership, we'll just extend you for another 12 months. So we'll send you that. The other thing I want to send you is an action plan. So if you're finding it difficult to get support for training like this, if you're having to pay for the Academy out of your own pocket, I know some of you have had to do that, I want you to download the action plan. I included it in the file, so you can go ahead and download the file. But let me show you what it is. I want you to start tracking your work and how long it takes you to do something the old way, and then how long it takes you to do something the new way now that you've gone through training. So for instance, the reset button in PowerPoint using layouts and themes, that's the relevant tips and feature that you are using now. Your training goal is to take the Slide Masters 101 class and the themes class. You look at the upcoming projects, like list out the projects or assignments that you know this would benefit, and then identify the estimated time and effort. How long does it take you to do that assignment every quarter, or however often you have to do it? So in this case, it's the quarterly board of directors meeting. It takes about 20 hours over 2 weeks for every single quarter. And there's various templates. We're not on brand. I expect to stay late. I'm going to pull slides from different presenters. I know I'm going to have to stay late at the office and skip out and miss dinner with my family. The new time is 90 minutes. Now that I know how to use layouts and themes and I'm using them correctly, I went from 20 hours in production to 90 minutes. I saved 18 hours of time. And then here are the other benefits. And you can even multiply that by the number of times you do that assignment times your hourly rate and how much money you're saving the company because you invested in the Academy. Here are other benefits and then next steps. So use this for your annual review. Use this for your ROI, for your justification for attending training. Feel free to modify it. If you want the Excel version, I'm happy to send you the Excel version too. This is just a PDF of that. So I just want to give you all the tools you need to show that, you going through these classes are benefiting the company. I don't want you to have to pay for this out of your own pocket. So now this gives ammunition for my team to tell me to pursue training, which I always do. So other things you might want to include on your action plan are any of these words. So be sure to use the fact that you're improving the image and reputation of the company by using these skills, or your level of productivity. You're reducing time and effort. You're reducing risk of errors by using themes and templates. So whew, I am done. I tried to do that in 60 minutes, but I will definitely send you guys the links and as well as the action plan in Excel for those of you who need it. And oh, do I have a typo? Thanks, Carol. I love you guys. Oh, and Eileen, you all recognize my typo. You guys must be assistants. This is awesome. All right, cool. And I'm just going to go through some of these questions and see if I have any additional ones, but it looks like we're at the end of today's session. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I had a good time. I hope you did. We'll look forward to seeing you guys at the next office hours for those of you that are members. Otherwise, we'll send the rest of you links to the $25 off promotion if you're interested in that. Okay, guys, have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.